Welcome, everybody, to the Seattle Sports Union podcast. My name is Abraham DeWeese. I am back with the Southwest Seahawk, Rob English, and on the boards, of course, is the Soulman, Brian Solack. Rob, oh, one of the best wins I've seen in a while by our Seattle Seahawks. We had an episode a couple days ago. People can check that out on YouTube and all the podcast streams. Just euphoria and delight. But, man, we got to move on, don't we? We got to look forward, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, win or loss, we always gotta, you can't relish in the victories or stew about the losses for too long because there's always another game to play until there's not. It was great to knock out the 49ers or knock down the 49ers. We haven't beat them in 3 years until Sunday. So that was only wonderful, and it doesn't matter, that, there's going to be, there is talk already about how they weren't at, totally full strength. But who is at this point of the season? You know what I mean? Right. It only gets worse from here. So, so it was great to get one in the pocket against them. But we got to look forward because we got another big game against another division rival in the Arizona Cardinals, and we got to focus there.
Right on. I do have to say one thing. I've been watching some YouTube videos by 49er fans, right? And it's so delicious to watch them turn on their own team, and they're now calling their coach, the greatest Schottenheimer, the greatest bum of all time. Or not Schottenheimer, I mean
Shanahan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I talk to 49er fans, regularly, and they all say, oh, we need to get rid of Shanahan. We're never going to win a Super Bowl with Shanahan because he's this or he's that, or he doesn't know how to. And it's like, what more do you want? It's not unlike the conversations that were surrounding Pete Carroll and the Seahawks front office. During our times of, I guess they call it turmoil. Like I never saw it so bad as other people did, but like I'm always like, dude, like, and I hate the 49ers, but you guys are literally the last 2, 3, arguably even more than that seasons. You guys have been the best team in football. It hasn't materialized in a Lombardi trophy, but like what team goes on a 3-month winning streak like they did 2 years ago? Like, I mean, the team has been all but unbeatable. This year they've had some rough patches and they got some injuries and whatnot, and people are just so quick to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I've never understood it. The Niners team is still dangerous. The Niners team is still going to be there when we get to the postseason. I'm sure of it. So yeah, I think people just need to calm down and relax.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this. Others here at SSU. If you get rid of your coach, you are subscribing to what the Seahawks are doing right now, to a rebuild. Like for the most part, I mean, that's what happened when Pete Carroll came in for Mora, right? I mean, you had to just suffer through a rebuild. And are you ready for that, 49ers fans?
I don't. It's funny, people, lose sight of, be careful what you wish for, because there is very rare occasions when you replace either a head coach or a starting quarterback and you have immediate success. It rarely happens. So, and so they're calling for it. They love their quarterback, they love their roster, but they think that because they haven't, got to hoist that, that sterling silver trophy at the end of the year, that the coach is the problem. And it's like, he got you to the last game of the season. You were the second best team in the league. He didn't earn anything for that. I don't know. It blows my mind.
I guess before we go on further, everybody who watches this knows that your wife is a 49er fan. Did she lose her stuff? Has she forgiven you for the loss?
So what I have learned is that, when the Niners beat the Seahawks, which they have done over the last 3 seasons without fail, she's allowed to get all up in my grill about it. She does all the, the crap talking, and it's very passive aggressive. She acts like she's just checking on me, like, hey, you all right? Come pat me on the leg or pat me on the back, rub my shoulders, but it's all passive aggressive. She's talking, what. But when something bad happens to the Niners, or in this case, when we beat them, I had to be very selective in how I approached the situation. So I didn't say anything all game. Granted, I didn't have a whole lot of room to talk most of that game, but when it started to become, a reality that we could pull this off, I stayed quiet and I didn't say a thing until Gino ran that ball in with just 12 seconds left, and then I made myself heard. But then after that, I put it back down again and set it to the side, and I might have dropped a little nugget here or there since then, but not too much. I like my bed.
Do you just remind her that you're not going to brag about it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Like, I'm not going to say that. So about a couple, about an hour and a half ago, I put the replay of the game on and just watched it. Yeah, while she was in the kitchen cooking, and I just put the game on and just watched it. Didn't say nothing. Just I was like, I wonder if there's any replays on right now, and I put it on and just watched it.
Well, this entire season, it seems like we get on this this show and we talk about, this upcoming game is going to tell us what the Seahawks are, who they are. We did it last week against the 49ers. We did it weeks ago against the Bills, and it just, again, every week, are these the real Seahawks, and is this upcoming game going to tell us who they really are? Same question, so let's just keep asking it. As they play the Cardinals, will this tell us who the real Seahawks are?
I think not only will it tell us who the real Seahawks are, I think we have a great opportunity to show the world, the NFL world anyway, who the real Cardinals are. I mean, a division game, it doesn't matter. It's very rarely mattered in the NFC West what team is doing good this season versus what team is doing bad that season. When these teams play each other, it's usually always a good game for at least 3 quarters. Very rarely is it a blowout. So I am expecting this game to be competitive. It's going to come down to the nuances. It's going to come down to the details. Kyler Murray and their new star receiver and their defense, they're playing really good football right now. They're on a roll. But you factor in that division familiarity, and things change. So I think it really is an opportunity for both teams to really make a statement in the league this year. And man, if Seattle can pull this off, knocking off the Niners and then knocking off the Cardinals, who are hot right now, we inject ourselves right back into the conversation.
Yeah, funny thing about that is, if we win on Sunday, we get the opportunity to say, and so do the Seahawks, nothing mattered up until now. All the games count now. All that other stuff was us learning a new coach, a new system, learning new players, that kind of thing. And it would be such a great opportunity to level set, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so. Because at that point, I mean, say we pull this game off, we enter at this point in the season, you start talking about controlling your own destiny, right? I mean, we knock off the Cardinals and we get a little help from, I think, Philly, and we're sitting in first place in the division again at this late point in the season. Yeah, you must talk about it at this point in the season. If you find yourself at any point, even if it's only by a half a game, right? you must talk about controlling your own destiny and really making that final push for the postseason. If you ever find yourself in first place this late in the game.
Yeah, let's talk about the postseason. Is it too early to talk about that, or is the more important thing right now focus on getting better, progressing, showing improvement, and go more for a long-term look at this going into 2025 on a high note?
I've gone back and forth on this, and in some ways, honestly, I have, admittedly put my foot in my mouth, because I think after our last game, the last loss, I submitted that this team is just not quite there. Always leaving room for hope that that we could turn before the end of the season, right? But it just, the way we lost to the Rams, the way we lost to the Bills, in both cases, I didn't really see a game where we got just run over by the other team. There was some competitive play. But I feel like we lost the games more than we got beat. And when you see that over and over and over again, I mean, come on, 3 weeks in a row, 3 games in a row, we've had a ball go over Gino's head or through his hands, and we lose, 15, 20, 25 yards on a single play. That's happened 3 games in a row. Like, that only happens to bad teams. You know what I mean? So, but it happened again on Sunday against San Francisco. We managed to pull it off and get the victory. So, I mean, and shout out to the defense. But to your original question, again,
live for the now or live for the future. Which is it, Rob?
live for the now. I think you have to. You simply have to. If you're in first place this late in the game, you got to think about the playoffs. You got to push for it.
I wholeheartedly agree. Let's not get lost in the path. Let's not get lost in this is a rebuild. While we're still mathematically in it, let's go for it. Why? I've never understood this whole tank. We got to tank for the future. No.
Hashtag never tank.
Yeah, you got to still compete. I mean, you still got to. Even if you're out of it, you got jobs that are on the line for next year. You got momentum you can build, and live for the now, guys. Enjoy that we beat the 49ers. Enjoy that there's a big game coming up. This is this one is a big one. Got a question for you about the team that we're facing. Excuse me. Kyler Murray, obviously a mobile quarterback, and he's shown a lot of that in recent weeks. Back to the form that the Cardinals, quite honestly, have been. He scouted him out of college for. He seemed to show flashes of it in his first year, and then seemed to kind of get away from it. Maybe playing a little too many video games, but he looks like a real quarterback now. And as a mobile quarterback, do you think the Seahawks have what it takes to keep him contained?
We haven't really seen well, I guess we did see Josh Allen, right? And he was able to run the ball against us a little bit. I think back to the Legion of Boom. We made a living on stopping mobile quarterbacks, the Cam Newtons and the likes of those guys.
Yeah.
This team, I am concerned. About because the secondary is our we hang our hat on how good the secondary is, and I wonder when on those third and importance, and they send receivers downfield, and that opens the C's part, and Kyler Murray can take off with his little legs and get 25 yards. So it is a concern. I think just as concerning, maybe if not more, is how he's playing as an actual passer. He's not blowing the doors off in terms of yardage, but he's been super consistent. He has a rating over 100, and he's got 12 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. I mean, he's playing consistent football right now at his spot, and I think that really is the real difference in his game this year.
Yeah, my thought about his receiver situation, he's got a lot more options in the past. It seems like he had Hopkins and a bunch of other people. So I feel like he kept trying to force it in. I think now he's got the ability to spread it around. Of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., a bunch of other guys who are, really stepping up and giving him options. I think that's really good. I really want to see what the Seahawks do against him. Last week, Brock Purdy ran pretty well against the Seahawks. But if you think about it, if Brock Purdy is running, that means he's not getting the ball into this. Actually, you might have been the one that brought that up in our last show. Brock Purdy running is fine. Kyler Murray running is not fine.
Right. Yeah, pretty big difference, right? Because Kyler Murray can literally take the ball the distance if you give him just enough space. Brock Purdy can outrun a defensive end, because he did that in that play. He got to the end zone on that corner, on that front corner on the end zone. But yeah, he's not going to take one 45 yards, 35, like Kyler Murray has done even this season. So he can definitely hurt us with his legs. We've got to make sure we get some pressure on the quarterback, but also not leave the holes wide open for him. It's going to be tough.
Here's the part where you get to use the old "I told you so," Abraham and everybody else, and that is the return of DK Metcalf. what was your evaluation of the offense last Sunday versus the previous weeks without him? For me, it was kind of night and day.
Absolutely. It was awesome to see Jackson Smith and Jigba go completely off against
Yeah,
that was against the Rams, right?
right.
Where he had a great day, and and despite what we would assume, right, would be a lot of attention being paid to him, but you could see that the offense was struggling. The game before that, we could do nothing in the passing game, but DK back on the field. You just see that there's just more open spaces. DK only had call it a pedestrian day against San Francisco, had a few catches. But just him being there, that you have to look at him. You can't not look at him because he's just too amazing to not look at, and that creates opportunities elsewhere.
Yeah,
So yeah, you put it perfectly, night and day difference.
it definitely. And
And I told you so.
one other thing, I don't know if you saw this. Uh, I guess DK and Fred Warner got into it again, but this time DK got his revenge and actually broke his helmet.
Did he? I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's some posts, some pictures that weren't broadcast, but they're from like people who were at the game,
Mhm.
and they recognize that there was a lot of fight in the Seahawks, fight that honestly I don't think we saw against the against the Bills at all. I mean, we look like a dead team, and against the Rams, I mean, you're right. JSN went off, but was there fight? Did there feel like a fighting spirit? Like we're not gonna back down to these guys. It seems like that fighting spirit is back.
It certainly did on Sunday. It was, I think it was just, the team. They all go into the week knowing this is a team that we haven't beaten 3 years. Whether it's players that have been there the whole time, whether it's new players. That feeling is contagious. You know when the big games. You know what the big games are. It's a division rival, heated rivalry. You could go. I mean, our arch enemies, right? I mean, this is the team. If you don't beat anybody else, you want to beat the 49ers. And so I think they just really took ownership of that and decided that we are going to figure out a way to win this game. And it wasn't cute. It wasn't pretty. But I love the fight. I love the way we held down Christian McCaffrey. That was the big deal for me. He ended up with like 80 yards or something like that, but
Yeah,
no big epic plays that he normally has. It's a complete testament to the fight and the will.
right on. Have you been watching Josh Jobe?
I have been noticing where he has been um on time and has been
Yeah.
making plays. He has had a couple of misses, a couple out of position situations. But I think he has plenty of upside. He's when he's making his tackles, he seems to be a sure tackle when he's in position. I haven't really seen him blow any coverages yet, but I might have missed something. But no, I think he's playing great. I don't know yet if he is the answer,
Mhm.
or as you put it in the notes, the ultimate revelation. But I do like what I'm seeing so far, and if we can continue to build on that, I mean, listen, if he can turn into the next Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, and now Josh Jobe, then hey, we got a little three-headed monster out there. Not to mention Julian Love. Hey, we're talking some serious a serious secondary now.
Yep, and Witherspoon as well. And like it just it seems to me like wow, we've been blessed with this defensive backfield, and maybe Snyder deservedly could use some critique with his line, defensive and offensive line selections. Looks he's put together another LOB in my opinion. And Josh Jobe, while you're right, he he doesn't look like much, but his name always comes up a lot, and I really like his gritty play. And another undrafted free agent, a UDFA, right? I love to see those guys make it. They're always they always seem like very gritty, and your Doug Baldwin's type. They know they're not going to be there forever, so they're going to make most of what they got, and
Sure.
nothing's been handed to him, and you can kind of see it in his play. And that's what I kind of wonder as well earlier in the season. Got some people loafing around. I'm not gonna name names because some of them are gone, and we don't need to think about them anymore. But it definitely seems like Job's come to play. So I'm glad he got that. I'm glad he got that roster spot.
Absolutely.
All right. Question for you about this pass rush. We we forced we forced Brock Purdy to run, and I think people are they're kind of bashing the pass rush, and he didn't get the sacks, he didn't get the hurries. But let's get after I sat down and thought about it, because I really wanted to sit here and like chew out Derek Hall. He made some mistakes, but again, I'd rather have Brock Purdy run the ball, than throw the ball into one of his playmakers' hands.
Yeah, if you're forcing the quarterback to run, generally speaking, you want to at least believe that he's not going to run for a first down every time. It's tough. It's tough, when it's third and short, right? Third and 3, 4, 5, right? Because anybody can get 5 yards with a good head start.
Yeah,
But listen, this pass rush, they're not so much failing on getting pressure. They're getting pressure. They just can't get home, and obviously that's part of it. I don't know what the numbers are from Sunday, but in the first game against the Niners, we had pressure on Purdy on 90% of his dropbacks,
yeah,
and didn't get any sacks. We didn't sack him once. Now the number was lower on Sunday, but we actually got to him, I think 2 or 3 times. Um, you know, but yeah, we're creating pressure. We're getting almost there over and over and over again. And then when we just don't get there, the quarterback's able to advance the ball. So we just got to just fix that last little piece and figure out. I don't know if it involves stunting or twist moves or wraparounds or what it is, but we've just got to figure out that last little piece. And what really hurts is it seems that even when we send extra men, we're not getting home there either. It's just still the same thing that we get there, we get the pressure going, and then now we have less men at the second level to stop the quarterback when he breaks free. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that part's super frustrating, but the pressure's there.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to do something different though against the Cardinals, right? I mean, we can't force all of our linemen so far upfield that uh, we don't contain Murray, and I know McDonald knows this. I mean, we're just two jackasses, on our couches doing a podcast. But it's a matter of I think we need to do a better job of containing than we did against uh, the 49ers. Again, happy to have Brock Purdy running all day. But I wasn't so happy with charging so far up the field that he found a lane to get out of there.
Yeah, for sure. And as we said before, it's a bigger problem with Kyler Murray. It's a pick your poison kind of thing, though, right? With Murray, I think you probably want to force him to beat you with his arm, right? So you play a little more contained. You don't rush with reckless abandon like you might against a less mobile quarterback. But that being said, that's really going to put a lot of pressure on our secondary to stay on these receivers. If we're going to sit back there and let Kyler sit in the pocket and look for somebody after they've been covering for about 2.5 seconds, somebody's going to get somewhere. So I say, that safety play is going to have to be great.
Yep.
They're going to have to have a real good scheme, covering in deep down the field, because I think that's where you go see a lot of deep balls. It's just impossible to cover for more than 3 seconds. Once it gets to 3 seconds, somebody's going to break free, and so we're going to have to make plays on the ball a lot this weekend.
Right on. From Soulman, by the way, Josh Strobe. He's tied for second in passes defended on this team since he joined the team. So
nice.
That's awesome. Question about the offensive line. Obviously, that snap went by Gino. Oluwatimi probably could have done a better job there. But maybe it's also Gino needs to pay attention. But Oluwatimi at center, replacing Connor Williams. Abe Lucas played I think half the game at right tackle. I kind of saw some improvement. What do you think? I mean, I was kind of encouraged by some better offensive line play.
Well, Lucas,
yeah.
Lucas, looked like a guy who hadn't played a lot lately.
Right.
I think he overall is a better than who was there? Jarrell was there. Yeah. Even though, but it's hard to say because Jarrell, his first game in there, he played amazing. We were praising Jarrell his first game starting at the position. And then the next game it was like, right. So, so it really it's different week to week. But I think we know at this point that Abraham Lucas is the better player. Olu, that ball that went by Gino. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit in the follow up show, or maybe it was in our thread. But Gino that ball kind of just went through Gino's hands. Was the snap perfectly on target? No, but I wonder how many snaps are ever perfectly on target. You got to be able to, as the quarterback standing 4 yards, 5 yards behind the center, you got to catch that ball, right? We expect receivers to catch passes. As a quarterback who plays predominantly in the shotgun, you got to catch the snap. Period.
What you think about Oluwatimi's play though, compared to Connor Williams?
I think the middle of the line was fairly strong. I will say there was a stark difference, in the O-line play. I'll say O-line play. I kind of just want to say there was a stark difference in the results. Once 97 on the Niners went out. Yeah, no. On the whole, you have to grade the game as the game went, and I think the middle of the line looks strong, I think we can build upon it.
Maybe see what happens after a couple games of Oluwatimi.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Once teams get to see some tape on him,
right?
That's not a bad idea. How do we feel about the NFC West as a division? The Seahawks. It's exciting that they're in the playoff race. Is it because this is a crummy division? Or is it because these teams are that close to each other?
No, I think that this is potentially one of the stronger divisions, to be honest. If you look at the number of wins per division, coming out of last week, so going into Sunday, the NFC West is third out of all 8, tied for third. I think it was 19 wins out of all 8 divisions, in number of wins. So I wouldn't say that the division is weak. I mean, every team has 5 wins at least, right? not all the divisions can say that. So it's easy to say, the weak division. Matter of fact, I responded to some people in the comments on the interwebs, but saying, we have only 4 wins in a weak division. It's like, this division is not weak. This division is super competitive. I mean, we can't sit here and say that the 49ers aren't good anymore, right? They have had to persevere through some struggles. The Cardinals are on fire right now. The Rams are a formidable team. This division is strong, and they are fighting against one another to come out of there. I think that whatever team comes out of this division can actually compete in the playoffs, despite how the games are looking on a week-to-week basis right now.
That's a good point. I mean, if you take a look around the NFC, you have the NFC North is doing well. We have to probably say
they're far and above better than everybody.
Yeah. Do we think the NFC South has anybody worth talking about? Does the NFC East, maybe the Commanders? But I mean, Commanders are feast. Yeah.
I mean, they're 8-2, so
yeah. Philly's good. Maybe it's the newness of the Commanders being good that I think they're better than Philly. But no, you're right. Philly's going to be there in the end for sure.
even if they do what they did, was it last year or the year before, where they had all those wins early and then they just like fell apart at the end. I mean, they're still going to make the postseason, and who knows what happens after that. But
Yeah, you just got to get in.
yeah, when you get 8-2, you're going to the playoffs, even if you stumble in, right? So I think the East is good. The South is a mess.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah,
they
they will send only one team to the postseason, and that team will be knocked out in the first round by a wild card team. So
yep. Yeah, if this were college football, they would be Big Sky or something, and that's
right.
they're
they might play in the Idaho Potato Bowl or the
exactly.
something like that.
Man. Yeah, they ought to get relegated like they would do in soccer. But anyway, let's take a quick look at our expectations versus reality. So for me, at the beginning of the season, I was banging the drum. This is a total rebuild. A successful season looks like a 9-8 season to me. That's kind of where we're heading. And I said if we make it into the playoffs, you can just you can jump for joy and consider this to be one of the great coaching jobs there ever was. Where were you in your preseason prediction, and are you happy with where they're at now?
I think we all more or less, Abe, shared similar sentiment. Like you said, you call it a rebuild, maybe not a true rebuild, but if you brand new coach, who knows what to expect? Yeah, you can't have a 500 season any longer, but 9-8, 8-9, one or the other. I said finishing above 500 would be a successful season. But even if it came short of that, what kind of wins were we able to rack up during the year? I mean, I think really would be a testament to the direction that we're headed in. We picked up some really good wins. Well, we picked up some wins early, and we have a really good win just this past weekend. So we're trending in the right direction, I think. But as of preseason to now, I think we're literally right on track to what the expectations were. Anything more from this point, I think might just be icing. I don't think anyone's really expecting a Lombardi Trophy this season. But a trip to the postseason, oh yeah, I mean, we talk about blowing expectations out of the water.
Yeah, our producer Brian, the Soulman was expecting 9-8. But what you said about all of us, that's untrue because Nathan Savage wanted the offensive coordinator fired first week, and Matt Page wanted everybody traded immediately and just forfeit the season so we can just talk about the draft for the entire year. So
yeah, but I mean, consider the guys you're talking about, though. I mean, come on.
But I'm often a doomsayer, but this is going about what should have been expected, and I'm happy with where they're at. And if they show steady progression and improvement, like I said, they might just end up in the postseason. So, all right, we're getting towards the end of the show. Let's go ahead and take a look at our predictions for this week. Excuse me. I think Nathan Savage, who wasn't able to make the show, is still on his doom and gloom narration. Didn't he say that we were going to lose? Yes, he said the Cardinals 31, Seahawks 28. Before you give me your prediction, can you react to that?
Oh, Savage Nathan is, it's doom and gloom. I think when he wrote that, I in our thread I said, "Boo this man, boo him."
Boo! Shame on you, Nathan.
Listen, he's not off base if you consider what the teams have been putting up over the last few weeks. I mean, Seattle, we haven't put up 21 points in over 3 weeks, I believe now. So I mean, so even though he gave us 28, I'm like, eesh, you know what I mean? But I can't fault him for that prediction, but I'm thinking we're going to go into this game riding high and motivated and seeing where we are. and I got a different feeling about it.
This one's a home game.
This is in Seattle.
Yeah, well, I better make sure I show up to the game. I couldn't remember if this was away or home. But the thought that I have is this is an opportunity for the Seahawks to protect the house, and it's an opportunity for us as fans to show a little support. So I'm gonna have to predict that the Seahawks win. But I agree with you. They have not been putting up numbers that I think that they're capable of. But their defense is getting better, and I really love Trice Knight. Is that his name? Trice? Does that sound right? Anyway,
yeah, Knight.
Yeah, Knight. We'll just call him Knight. And then Ernest Jones. I love the upgrade there, and honestly, I bet you they spy Kyler Murray. I'm calling him right now. They spy him with Trice Knight because Trice Knight has speed.
Tyrese.
Is it Tyrese? Okay. I don't know where I got Trice. Oh, Braylon Trice from the Huskies. That's what I'm getting confused. Anyway, so my prediction's actually a 21-20 win for the Seahawks. I think we can do it, but it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Well, you are basically on par with Vegas because the spread is 1.5.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah. Sure. So I am thinking that I'm going to go ahead and say that our defense finds a way to, you know what? Let me start that over. I'm going to say that the 12s, coming off a big win in San Francisco, the 12s are going to be rocking, and they are going to disrupt that Arizona offense. I think it's going to cause just enough noise that to throw them off their game. I think a few false starts are going to happen, and I think we force Murray into looking like Murray of old. I think we picked the ball off twice in this game. I'm going to call this game 24-21.
Right.
And Seattle gets out of there with the win. And I'm gonna just add one more little prediction on the week. Philly beats the Rams, and we end up in first place.
That would be awesome. Our producer, the Soulman, says 23-19 Seahawks win this Sunday. I'm sorry, 23-19 over the last 5 years at home. Oh, that's our record. Okay, sorry, I misread this. But 24-19, I thought that was the score he was predicting. 24-19 is what the Seahawks are going to do, is what Soulman says. Get back that home field advantage, kind of echoing your sentiment there. So, yeah, let's hope they do it. Let's get to the shout-outs as we are at the end of our show. I'm going to start with the Soulman. His shout-out is to legendary broadcaster Tony Ventrella, who just passed away recently. Yeah. That's rough. That's part of all of our childhoods, and he was the go-to guy, among others like Wayne Cody and Bruce King, etc. And so
Bruce King. I forgot about Bruce King.
definitely to be missed. Do you have a shout out for this week, Southwest Seahawk?
You know, just in the interest of keeping the peace in my home, I'm going to give a shout out to the wife who has, for the most part, handled Sunday and the aftermath like a trooper. I've taken it easy on her, but that being said, she's become quite the diehard fan over the years, and I've in a way I've kind of created a monster in that sense, because when we first met she didn't really care that much, but over the years she now, but look at like this, she watches all of the previews on NFL Network, and she's on YouTube watching all that stuff, and she's at a fantasy team and her team is actually winning right now, so she's watching, she's into it all the way. So she's taking it like a trooper, so I'm gonna give my shout out to her, and hopefully that buys me a couple more days in this house.
After this week's game, she'll forget all about it. That's my hope for you.
Well, unless they lose to who do they play on Sunday? Green Bay at Green Bay. If they lose to Green Bay, I'm going to be on her bumper. So so if I knock on your door, Abe, I might need a couch for a couple months.
Well, be careful because we play Green Bay a couple weeks after that. So let's
true.
Let's be careful about that. But the shout out for me this week is to all the people out there, the road crews, the EMTs, the linemen, anybody that is out there in the yucky weather. Uh, there was a cyclone bomb that hit Seattle. It screwed up everybody's electricity, including mine. And once you start messing with my comfort, now it becomes a problem. But but no, I've
I
done
feel you.
I've done training for linemen. And they tell you like you got to go out there for in hurricanes, tornadoes, all this kind of thing, all these kind of things. And I climbed up the ladder, Rob. 25 feet up in the air on a telephone pole, and I'm like, nope, not ever going to do this. So big shout out to everybody that has to be out there in the yucky weather to allow me to have my comforts in life.
Well, I tell you, instead of being that kind of lineman, you should have been an offensive or defensive lineman so we could use you on the team because we need it.
Oh my God, no thanks. I'll be a kicker or a place holder, a place kick holder. No thanks to the line.
Those guys are a different breed for sure.
Yeah, they're crazy. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on the Seattle Sports Union podcast. On behalf of the Southwest Seahawk, Rob English, and the Soulman, Brian Solack, my name is Abraham DeWeese. Check out all our podcasts on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes, all the great streaming places. And as well, check us out on social media at Seattle Sports U on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And like us on Facebook. And we'll see you guys next time.
Go Hawks.